The survival era, 1986 to 1990. When Ferguson walked into Old Trafford, he found a disaster zone. United had talent but no discipline. Players were drinking midweek, training was outdated, and morale was gone. It wasn't a football club, it was a hangover with a stadium. He immediately laid down the law. No shortcuts, no drinking culture, no excuses. He demanded professionalism from a squad that had forgotten what that word meant. He focused on fitness, mentality, and the youth academy. He wanted players who played for the badge, not just the paycheck. But the results, brutal. The football was ugly, the goals were rare, and patience was thin. Fans booed him. Newspapers called for his head. The famous Stretford End turned against him. Manchester United, the supposed sleeping giant, looked like a club without a heartbeat. By 1989, United were nearly in the relegation zone. Ferguson himself admitted later that he feared for his job every Monday morning. He was a Scottish outsider in an English institution, and every defeat felt like another nail in his coffin. And then, one match saved his career. FA Cup 1990. United scraped past Crystal Palace in a replay. They lifted the trophy, and Ferguson finally breathed. That FA Cup was everything. It bought him time, trust, and authority. It convinced the board that his vision was worth believing in. Without it, Ferguson might have been fired, and United's golden age might never have existed. From that moment, the rebuild truly began. He'd survived the storm, and now he was ready to build an empire. The first great team, 1990 to 1995. Once the FA Cup storm passed, Ferguson went to work. He brought in fighters, not just footballers, players who mirrored his obsession with winning. Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Roy Keane, Eric Cantona. Cantona, in particular, changed everything. A genius with a temper, an artist with arrogance. He gave United something they hadn't had in decades, swagger. When Cantona walked onto the pitch with that turned-up collar, it felt like United were walking back into their own mythology. By 1993, after 26 years of waiting, Manchester United finally won the league title. The celebrations were chaos. It was the moment the club and its fans realized the sleeping giant had finally woken up. Then another title came. Then the FA Cup. United were back, and Ferguson's empire had its first crown, but in 1995, everything crashed. Cantona's kung fu kick on a Crystal Palace fan led to a long suspension. The team crumbled without their talisman. A trophyless season followed. Critics said United were finished, that Ferguson's magic had vanished. But Ferguson had something radical in mind, something that would define the next generation. He wasn't going to buy his way out of trouble. He was going to build. The Class of 92 era, 1995 to 2001. Summer, 1995. Ferguson sells established stars. Paul Ince, Mark Hughes, Andre Konchesky's. Fans panic, the press laughs, and Alan Hansen drops the famous line, "You can't win anything with kids." Ferguson's response? The Class of 92. David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Gary and Phil Neville, Nicky Butt. All graduates of United's Youth Academy, all products of the culture Ferguson had been cultivating for years. He mixed them with veterans like Keane, Cantona, and Schmeichel, and created one of the most iconic teams in football history. The result? Back-to-back league titles, an FA Cup, and then the treble, 1998 to 99, Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League, all in one season. In the Champions League final, down 1-0 in stoppage time. United scored twice in 2 minutes. Solskjaer, Sheringham, history. Ferguson's face said it all. Football, bloody hell. That night defined him and United. A team built on faith, fearlessness, and the refusal to give up. They weren't just winning, they were rewriting destiny. But after glory comes evolution, because Ferguson knew, stay still and you die. Even treble winners can't live off memories. The transition and rivalry era, 2001 to 2006. By the early 2000s, the Premier League was changing. Arsenal had Wenger's revolution, nutrition, tactics, beauty. Chelsea had Roman Abramovich's billions. And Mourinho was about to arrive with a new kind of ruthlessness. Ferguson responded with another rebuild. Out went the old heroes, Beckham, Stam, Keane. In came Van Nistelrooy, Ferdinand, and a young Portuguese winger named Ronaldo. But this was a turbulent period. Arsenal's invincibles went unbeaten. Mourinho's Chelsea took the league by storm, with power and precision. And United, they were struggling for identity. Ferguson was criticized for losing his touch. for falling behind the modern managers who spoke of philosophy and systems. But behind the scenes, he was quietly assembling the next monster. He reshaped the squad around youth, power, and speed. He molded Cristiano Ronaldo from a flashy step-over merchant into a ruthless goal-scoring weapon. He gave Rooney freedom and responsibility. He rebuilt patiently, piece by piece, until the machine was ready to roar again. The Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez era, 2006 to 2009. This was peak Ferguson 2.0. United's football wasn't just effective, it was electric. Ronaldo at his explosive best, Rooney at his fearless prime, Tevez pressing like a man possessed. It was chaos, brilliance, and control all in one team. The defense, ironclad. Vidic and Ferdinand, a wall. Van der Sar, calm and clinical behind them. Even the fullbacks attacked like wingers. Ferguson had built a modern masterpiece. 2007, Premier League champions. 2008, the double, League and Champions League. 2009, another title. Moscow 2008 was the crowning moment. A rain-soaked final against Chelsea. Ronaldo scores, then misses a penalty, then cries, and still wins. John Terry slips, United triumph, and Ferguson becomes the master of Europe once again. He'd reinvented himself for the new era, and he was on top of the world. But as always, success brings change. Ronaldo leaves for Madrid, Tevez joins City, and Ferguson must rebuild again. The final era, 2009 to 2013. And this was Ferguson's last great evolution, his final version of Manchester United. No Ronaldo, no Rooney Tevez chaos, just ruthless efficiency and unbreakable mentality. He built a team that wasn't the most talented, but it was the most relentless. Carrick controlling the midfield with quiet authority, Vidic and Ferdinand still rock solid at the back. Evra and Van der Sar leading by example, and new signings like Van Persie leading the line like a man on a mission. He used veterans, kids, and squad players like chess pieces, always rotating, always competing. He made players like Park Ji-sung and Darren Fletcher essential. Every role had a purpose. 2011, United overtake Liverpool's title count, 19. The symbolic victory Ferguson had dreamed of since day one. 2013, Ferguson wins number 20. His final season ends the way it began, with a victory. He retires on top, waves goodbye to Old Trafford, and leaves behind a legacy no one could follow. The Premier League hasn't been the same since. The legacy beyond the trophies. Ferguson wasn't just great because he won. He was great because he never stopped evolving. He mastered different generations, different tactics, and different egos. He beat managers half his age and adapted to new football worlds every few years. He could play possession football, counter-attacking football, or park the bus and still win. He could build a team from scratch, lose his best player, and come back even stronger. But his greatest strength, his man management. He understood people. He knew how to motivate them, scare them, and inspire them. He could shout your soul out with the hairdryer treatment, and the next day make you feel 10 feet tall. Every player, from Ronaldo to Giggs to Beckham, they will tell you the same thing. Ferguson made them believe they were unstoppable. He didn't just build teams, he built cultures, he built belief, he built Manchester United's identity. His shadow still looms over the club today. Every new manager is compared to him. Every failure reminds fans how rare he was. He wasn't just a manager, he was an era. Sir Alex Ferguson didn't just win trophies. He built a football civilization. He outlasted rivals, eras, and even time itself. He proved that greatness isn't luck, it's evolution. He started as a fiery Scotsman trying to knock Liverpool off their perch, and ended as the greatest manager in football history. 26 years, 38 trophies, infinite influence, because legends come and go, but dynasties like Ferguson's, they never die.